Far and away the busiest NBA power rankings of the year so far. Check this out. 7 of our top spots seeing movement, including a new team skyrocketing into our 10 best. That said, though, going to start with a team that's actually still fighting for their spot altogether. It's Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. After feasting on their lowly December schedule, 2020 has been a bit more of a challenge. Only 5-5 in their last 10 games, too. Not to mention the one big caveat with Kristaps Porzingis is starting to rear its head, that being his health. Sore knee keeping KP sidelined for 2 weeks already, and still no answer as to when we'll see the big guy once again. One of our 3 teams staying put, Toronto, number 9. And on the contrary to Dallas, they're keeping pace in the East and actually getting healthier. Their star, Pascal Siakam, out with a groin injury since the 18th of December. Back in practice today, hoping to return next week. Now that hard-charging squad I mentioned, the new one into our rankings, it's their first appearance back since week 1. The Utah Jazz, winners of 7 in a row. Check this out. This is an interesting stat. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell has been fantastic per usual, but it's a familiar face that's raising eyebrows. They have not lost a game since acquiring South Central Texas native Jordan Clarkson from Cleveland. And while the Wagner product hasn't been the reason, so to speak, for all the success, he's certainly been a nice fit. And on the subject of a rival, but more so a return, Russell Westbrook and the Rockets up a spot to number 7. An emotional Thursday night for Russ, returning to OKC for the first time since his trade to Houston over the summer, and he played well, 34 points. His team did not, though, but that's okay, that's fine. Winners of 4 of 5, currently sitting 4th in the Western Conference. And from 4th in the West to 3rd in the East and back to 6th in our power rankings, the Celtics. Rough week of the season, probably their roughest week of the season so far this past week for the C's. 3 straight defeats. After going down in Philly last night, for the first time all season, they've actually shown a little bit of vulnerability, especially Jaylen Brown. First of 5 games haven't been too nice for him, only shooting 39% as opposed to his monster December, which he was scoring the ball at a 56% rate. From 3 to 5. It's because of a couple of duds of performances this week, even in one of their wins. So they lose by 26 at home to Memphis, and they follow that up by surviving a 135-132 slugfest at home against the Knicks. So what gives? Well, a couple load management days for Kawhi, combined with Patrick Beverley battling some wrist issues. The primary concern right now for the Clippers really just needing to get healthy all the way around before anything else. As for the Heat, they're healthy, they're physical, and they're here to stay. Cracking our top 4 once again. Jimmy Butler saying at the start of the season he was going to bring a bit of an attitude to South Beach. That was on full display earlier this week against the Pacers, not taking anything from Indiana's TJ Warren. Said he was soft post-game. That's the polite way, the PG way that we're allowed to say it here on TV. The constant upswing for the Nuggets continuing as they find their highest place in our rankings this season, up to number 3, as they also sit number 2 in the Western Conference. Fantastic basketball game earlier this week, outlasting the Mavericks in Dallas. Got a feel for those aforementioned Mavericks because in consecutive games they get the number 3 team and they get the number 2 tonight. The Lakers, 6 straight dubs for LeBron and company, but we found reason for concern here, or at least something to keep an eye on. Anthony Davis banged up, landing hard on his tailbone on Wednesday night. No, not the end of the world. Yes, he'll be back soon. But he and the King are just in a brilliant rhythm these days. For the 7th straight week, the Milwaukee Bucks take the throne as number 1. After taking out their frustrations on the Warriors following a beatdown in San Antonio, do we start keeping an eye on these guys as potentially a 70-win team? 6 losses right now. We're just short of the midway point of the season. Yeah, probably a little premature, but at least worth having in the back of your mind. Not that you really needed a reminder to know that these guys, they're pretty good.
NBA Power Rankings are brought to you by IHOP, all-you-can-eat pancakes.